Story 1. Today I effed up by writing down all the lies I've told on an Excel sheet. Okay, let's get this out of the way first. I'm a chronic liar and will take any advice, any criticism. I'm a very meticulous person and have been diagnosed with OCD, so very early in life, if I were to tell a lie, I would keep a record so I wouldn't forget what I said and not get in trouble for it. Today, my now ex, Eve, found my lies list when browsing files on my laptop looking for something. That list has awful lies that I've told her, her family, my family, friends, coworkers, strangers, etc. Some of the lies include people who don't exist, people who aren't dead, people who are really dead, things I have and haven't done, and many more awful things I'm not proud of. Let me explain. This started at a very young age. For example, Mom, I can't go to school, I feel sick. I wouldn't go to school, and a few weeks later, when the opportunity came, right, this medicine is from when I felt this and that one day. This follow-up ensured I would not forget about what I lied about. I kept that bad habit because I got good at lying, like very, very good. Most things would work my way when I turned 18. I got the job I wanted, the position I wanted, the things I wanted, all by lying. So when I entered college, I created an Excel sheet with all the lies I had told that day, sorted by date and person. I don't update my list every day, but I do tell lies every day, the small ones. I don't even notice it anymore, but I can keep track of them, even on days when I tell 30 plus. Say, OP, didn't you like today's coffee? No, I did not at all. And I haven't touched the coffee at all, but I do keep track because in my lie-based world, I have a coffee, so it'd be weird if I had another cup after stating I did not like it. So anyway, 3 years back or so, I started with pretty big lies. I told Eve I didn't like chocolate, so I'd never eat chocolate around her or people who knew her just in case. I guess I find thrill in living this way. Like a sick video game with dozens of conditions to avoid or you lose the game. Knowing this, I hid my list in a random sheet inside the Excel document, which contains a lot of pages with movie notes, thousands of pictures from school, tables, random crap, etc. I might have been overconfident about it because Eve found it out of curiosity, and there are things in the section with her name like Uncle Ben, dead October 12th, 20. You had COVID from September 23rd to January 3rd, 22. You know X place. You work in X company from X to X. Didn't go to her eye surgery because you were doing X. And under that, I write fake details like the clothes I was wearing, who I had talked to that day, lies that were contradicting around those days, people that might catch me if they found inconsistencies, etc. Eve obviously freaked out, confronted me with a broken tone I had never heard before, and took a step back when I tried to get close. So I sat down and had to admit everything. It was a nightmare. She cried, asking how she had never noticed. As she read through pages and pages, more and more things that I'd said to her, things that were core memories for us, were planned lies. And yeah, it was not pretty. I do feel honest love for her, as ironic as it might seem. I'm not lying in this text. And I'm not entirely sure what I wanted by lying to her those years, but there's no excuse. I did what I did, knowing the consequences, and here I am. Eve stormed out of our place and called my therapist, shared a copy of the document, and he explained it was disappointing to see that my therapist was one of the biggest sections and said he believed most of those things. He then explained that even though none of the things written in there aren't strictly illegal, I still had to answer some questions to cops since it seemed like I have an alter ego for certain people, so that could make me suspicious of fraud or identity theft. The cops came earlier this morning. It was a calm chat, but they took note of everything I said and paid close attention to my body language, tone of voice, words used, etc. I effed up huge and my life won't be the same anymore. I'm sure all the people I know won't want to see me again, so writing this is sort of my preparation for that. I feel like a piece of crap, and I don't doubt I am one. So anyway, thanks for reading. It felt relieving to vent this out. So this really wasn't a today I effed up. This was just most of my life I have effed up. Now, I wanted to give some leeway because you're dealing with OCD. I don't know everything that comes with that. I don't know what maybe you've been through and what traumas you've had in your life that might have brought this habit on. And so I don't want to shame that. However, what you're doing is affecting other people, and you're lying to everyone in your life like it's a game and manipulating them. And none of that's okay at all. And the way that you talk about it like it's a game, it's thrilling, it's fun, that's very problematic. That is something that I imagine you'll be talking to your therapist a lot about, and hopefully a habit that you can break because, yeah, I don't blame your girlfriend for walking out on you. Like, if I found that out about someone, I would never trust them again. I don't think you could do anything to convince me to trust someone after I found something like that. I just couldn't, and I think that's fair, unfortunately for you. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for going to my sister's dream school when she just got rejected? So, I got into Cornell last week. Honestly, I think it was a fluke. I'm not smart at all. I got a 28 ACT, a decent GPA because my school grades inflates considerably. I had some decent extracurriculars, but nothing remotely competitive enough to get me to a school like Cornell. But anyways, my twin sister is the opposite of me. She's a genius. She has way more impressive stats, 34 ACT, and she only took it once compared to my 3 times. She has way better grades, way cooler extracurriculars. Everyone always looked up to her as the smart one. I didn't and still don't mind. It's true. The only reason I can fathom I got in and she didn't is that she applied to the engineering college while I applied to arts and sciences. I don't know if too many of you guys are familiar with Cornell, but they have a bunch of different colleges you can apply to, each with their different admission criteria. Well, last week, decisions for Ivies came out. Unfortunately for my sister, she didn't get into a single one, including her first choice, Cornell. She checked as soon as it was available and called me bawling. I consoled her and told her everything was going to be okay, that who cares what school you go to, that she was brilliant and was going to be successful no matter where she goes. Well, anyways, I pretty much resolved that I was getting rejected, so I didn't even bother to look at my email until later that night. Well, I guess surprises do happen sometimes because I'm a Cornellian. I got in. I just don't know how, but I did. I really want to go, guys, but this would devastate my sister. All week she's been crying and solemn and sad. She's been angry with her friends who got into top schools, especially the ones with lower stats. She decided to go to NYU, but she just hasn't been herself. I haven't told our parents. I think they assumed I didn't get in because she didn't. Am I being selfish? Should I just go with her to NYC? We've always thought we were going to school together, but it's Cornell. I couldn't in a million years imagine I'd get in. I've been researching obsessively about it, and I can't shake the desire that if I don't go, I'll regret it. Ithaca looks beautiful. It's a small town, which I would love to get away from the huge city that is New York. It seems like a dream opportunity. Am I a bad sister? I know she would be upset. We were supposed to go to school together. It would crush her. I really don't have anyone else to talk to. Am I the a-hole for going to her dream school? Especially considering how much harder she worked compared to me? Yeah, but is it really fair that you don't get to go to the school you want to go to? That clearly you earned it. You got in because you earned it. You applied to a different college. The applications between, the arts college and the engineering college, there's gotta be a huge divide there. They're not looking necessarily at grades and this and that for arts, she made a choice. She went for what is a really demanding field. Take this from someone who, at one point when first applying for colleges, was going for engineering. I was going to be a chemical engineer, and then I did a bunch of calculus and I hated it. So I changed. But it is a really competitive field, and I'm sure the arts are competitive too, but if you got in, you earned that. And yeah, you wanted to go to college together, but look, I don't have a twin. I don't know what the connection is. But if it's for you and you feel like you would regret not going, I think that you should go. I don't think there's anything wrong with the two of you having different experiences. I mean, you already would going to the different colleges within Cornell. So I think that you should go, but I don't think it would be terrible if you went to NYC. I don't think which college you go to necessarily means as much as some folks think it means, but if it's an opportunity that you want to pursue, then I'd say you should probably pursue it. It'll hurt and it'll suck and she'll be mad for a bit, but hopefully she'll get over it. Story 3. I just found out that my dad who has neglected me isn't my bio dad. I, 17 male, mom, 38, dad, 40. My parents were young when they got married. My mother is a stay-at-home mom and works part-time while my dad is a software developer. I am the oldest of 4 siblings. I've been treated like the black sheep in my family since I can remember. Birthdays, never had any. Just a cupcake for my mom and no presents. I wasn't allowed to have friends over. Christmas was never something I looked for. At most, I would get some socks while I had to look at the presents my dad, aunts, uncles, and grandparents gave my siblings. New bikes, latest fashion clothes, phones, game consoles, games, you name it, they got it. The same was for their birthdays. Big parties. Their friends and family would show up and shower them with gifts. I was never allowed on family trips and vacations. I was left behind to stay with my grandparents, who were strict on everything I did, and sometimes they would just call on someone else to pick me up while I was supposed to stay with them. My mom got a part-time job when I was 13, and with that, she would sometimes ask if we could just spend the day together while Dad and my siblings were out, even though it was just to get ice cream. When I was at home, I mostly stayed in my room and studied. It didn't matter how well I did in school or sports, my dad showed no interest. I was able to get some money by tutoring. That, along with I managed to get a part-time job at food court and a grocery store, meant I spent less time at home. Over the years, my mental health got worse and worse because of maintaining good grades, doing well at sports, and working 2 part-time jobs. My mom helped me find a therapist who has helped a lot. Yesterday, I came home from work late, tired, and just wanted to go to bed. I opened the door to hear my mom arguing with my dad and aunt about me in the living room. I could hear my aunt saying that I should be more grateful towards my dad. Then they saw me in the doorway and stopped. My mom and dad looked like they had seen a ghost while my aunt announced, "And in comes the bastard." I was shocked to hear her say that. I know she did not like me and mostly ignored me when we were in the same room, but I got angry and just asked her to repeat what she had said. My dad quickly stopped her, but no, I wanted to know why I should be grateful. So I asked what was going on. No one said anything for a while, so I asked again and was grateful about what? Being ignored, neglected, abandoned while my siblings are spoiled and play happy family with Dad. As soon as I said Dad, my aunt just shouted that I was not his son. I was shocked by what she said, and I asked my dad if it was true. He looked at me and just said, "I'm sorry." I didn't know what to say. I looked at my mom and she said nothing. I left my room and just started crying. Later, my mom found me on the floor crying and shaking. She helped me up and stayed with me until I fell asleep. I woke up this morning and called in sick. I barely left my room today. I just feel like everything I have done unto the man I call Dad, proud or just to acknowledge me, has been a waste of life. I wish that I had known years ago. The thing that's really making me angry here is that it sounds like they were mistreating this person because he wasn't this guy's biological son. And no one was doing anything about it. Like, the mom comforted him, but presents, birthday parties, family trips, didn't seem on board with that. And the dad saying he's sorry while not treating this person like an actual son. Like, I don't care how nice they are to his biological kids. These are bad parents. They're literally, it sounds like maybe the mom had cheated or something or whatever, but for some reason, they're putting all their anger about that infidelity or whatever on this child, which is so unfair and something that just absolute craphead people do. And I despise them. I hate that they would do this to a kid who is now probably just dealing with issues and even more issues now, and is going to be in therapy for years dealing with this trauma because these people are just crap parents. Folks, I don't care. Oh my God, I'm so mad. Story 4. I insulted my boyfriend after I found out his secret. My boyfriend Ben, 28 male, and I, 25 female, have been dating for almost 2 years. While our relationship is not perfect, it's pretty damn close. Our biggest disagreement was when I switched oat milk brands and he kept forgetting and bringing the other brand. We're both quite naturally calm people and prefer a constructive discussion to a heated argument. This is why what happened last week caught me off guard. Towards the beginning of our relationship, when we weren't exclusive, Ben had a fling with a coworker, let's call her Steph. He's the head of IT at a major firm, and she works in a different department, so they only see each other occasionally, even more so now that he switched to remote work 2 days a week. When he told me about their fling and I talked to my friend about it, they said I wasn't allowed to be bothered about it as our relationship wasn't defined at the time, and they only slept together once. Some days I will fixate on it and wonder if he talks to Steph at work and if she still fancied him. I know I'm not allowed to monitor his interactions with anyone and would never try to control him, but it does make me feel something when I think about him even being near her. I don't know if it's jealousy or insecurity or even if it's rational. Anyway, last week we got invited to a dinner party hosted by his boss. I'd been to a couple of his office parties before, but only interacted with a couple people and usually was glued to Ben's side all night, since I'm a bit of an introvert. From my immediate impression, Ben's boss is a bit of a rich prick, but he knew how to throw a good enough party that I began to loosen up and interact with more than 2 people all night. As a teacher, I've always felt insecure around people who make so much more money than me and always felt like they looked down on me, but that couldn't have been further from the truth. I was immediately included in the inside jokes, made a couple of my own, and even got invited to do a double date with one of his coworkers and his wife. While Ben was grabbing me some food, one of his friends made a passing comment about Steph. She was at the party, but stayed away from the group we were hanging out with. I said, I don't care about her, but I also have nothing to talk to her about, which is true. I wasn't about to go compare notes with her, and the fact that she did stay away from us did put me at ease and made me not as wary of her. His friend laughed and said, well, then you might feel the same way about Molly. Molly was another coworker of Ben's who I'd actually gotten on with the whole night. I was confused and didn't understand what he was trying to say. When he saw my reaction, he completely clammed up, but I demanded he explain himself. Another one of his friends from the group said that Molly and Ben slept together. To say I was shocked is an understatement. I then asked how many other girls Ben had slept with from the office, and they told me they knew of 4 different girls. At that point, Ben came back, unaware his friends had spilled his secrets, but picked up on the tense atmosphere. Internally, I was fuming and hurt, but I kept a cool facade, and when Ben asked what was wrong, I just looked at him and said, your friends were just informing me that you're the office S. He looked shocked, and I left to go to the bathroom to calm down. I knew if I stayed at this party any longer, I would have a breakdown and need to leave, so I went straight to our car and drove home without telling him. When I got back home, I replied to his numerous texts about where I was and told him I came home and he could find his own way back. He got home around an hour after me, and by that time I had already cried my feelings out and was ready to have a conversation. He came into the house absolutely livid, which I didn't understand because he was the one who lied to me. He's never even raised his voice at me for anything before, but he was shouting about how I embarrassed him, and word had gotten around to his other coworkers because I had reacted immaturely. I tried to explain my position. How would he feel if he found out I'd slept with 4 of my coworkers and never told him? He just kept reiterating that he never had a relationship with them and that it was just intercourse. I knew going into our relationship he was way more experienced than me intimately, but I refused to believe he could sleep with these women and not feel anything for them, but that is beside the point, and he should have told me. But all he is hung up on that I insulted him to his friends. When he was done yelling, he said he was going to stay at his brother's house to calm down and not to contact him until he cooled down. I told him I wouldn't contact him first because I'm not in the wrong, he is. It's been a week since he's been at his brother's house and we still haven't talked. I have no clue where we go from here. Was I wrong to react the way I did? I didn't think I was, but now I'm second-guessing myself. I didn't think calling him the Office S would elicit this reaction, but I don't think it was a lie either. Should I apologize or wait for him to make the first move? My issue is not so much with him sleeping with the other women, but hiding it. Okay, first things first, on this channel, we do not S-shame, alright? So, the fact that you would call him that, I'm going to say, that's your bad. That's on you. That is not cool. Now, the second thing I'll ask, so with this Steph person, it sounds like he had his little fling with her while you two were like not official or anything. But you seem to be okay with that, even though it kind of bugs you a bit, which I think that's understandable. But I also think, his position if things aren't defined. I mean, folks, you should have conversations with people that you're dating about what's okay. What are you expecting from each other? But they didn't. Such is life. Moving on. Let's say that the Steph thing is resolved, even though the person writing this has feelings. Now, the other three people, was that also when the relationship wasn't established? Or was that before? Because I feel like that's a big difference. Like, if it was kind of an argument and a difficult thing when, this person found out that Ben had, slept with someone while they were not, really official or anything, then Ben should have also offered up, well, I've actually been with a number of women. Like, that would be, I think, a given. But if it was before they'd ever started dating, I don't personally think, like, I'm open with my partner about, we've both been open about who we've been with or whatever, but we also just have the opinion of just like, well, it's before we were together. It doesn't matter that much, as long as we're safe and, all that kind of stuff, like share that history or whatever. But, yeah, if it's before you were all together and he happened to, like, be intimate with a couple of people at the office, like, I don't know. I don't think it's worth the reaction that this person gave, personally. I think that was too hot-headed. You ran out and left him after S-shaming him in front of all of his coworkers and stuff. You don't seem that inclined to try and reach out and talk to him, so I don't know. Without the information about when that happened, I don't feel like I could say anything. It's not like you're listening, who cares? But for anyone else in this situation, I don't know. I think that probably matters. What do you all think? Story 5. My boyfriend told me he'd leave me if I was infertile. I was really sick from ages 22 to 24 with my lungs and almost died. The doctors still to this day can't tell me what caused it, and I recovered but still have minor breathing issues from time to time. Me and my boyfriend have been together for 1.5 years and recently have been talking more about children in our future. We unfortunately never spoke about things like infertility, which sadly runs in my family. I was quite taken aback when he said there was a chance he'd leave our relationship if I couldn't safely carry a child because of my lungs, currently being reinvestigated, or I was infertile. When I asked him if he was the infertile one, he said he'd expect me to do the same, but it's something I'd personally never consider leaving him over. We revisited the conversation the next day, and he went from saying there was a chance to him stating he's 95% sure he would leave me. I, of course, would never stand in his way of being a father, but I can't seem to shake off the fact that there's this condition attached to our relationship now. It's made me feel like my value is attached to my fertility, and I'm starting to view him in a different light. Am I just being oversensitive? Edit, I just wanted to note that I'm not actually confirmed to be infertile. I'm just at slight risk because I've had a few women in my family that have had infertility issues, and there's also the concern I wouldn't be able to safely carry a baby due to my lungs. We would obviously have to run tests to have anything confirmed. Your boyfriend sounds like a piece of garbage. Okay, he wants kids. That's fine. Like, when you're going into a relationship, being open about whether or not you want kids or something, yeah, like, if that's one thing. But to be like, oh, but if you're going to have problems giving me a biological child, I refuse to consider any other options, like someone else carrying a baby for us, or, adopting. No, if you can't give me a biological child, then away with thee. He sucks. I'm sorry, but to put that on a relationship, to be like, oh no, I'm in this relationship very conditionally on you providing me biological spawn. Blech! I hate him. I don't like him at all. Definitely view him in a different light. Maybe people disagree with me, but if he's allowed to want what he wants or whatever, that's fine. But if this person wants not to be with him because he's like this, I think that's fine too. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.